really like to say that it's important to have an intellectual background.
Yeah, well, you're on the wrong board for that. Oh, we're live.
After 4 p.m., all bets are off. It's fine.
It's 5 o'clock somewhere, guys.
Calvin, it's 4 o'clock. You're on.
Oh, okay. Is Terry or Brian coming?
Brian is here. He's logging in right now as we speak.
Okay, we'll wait for Brian. How about Terry? Is Terry coming?
No. No, I don't. No.
Okay, so it's 4:01. Ready, guys? Ready? Everyone ready?
But Commissioner-elect Jen Freeman is here.
Oh, that's even better. She's classing up the joint.
Well, look at her library. It's just,
A lot of Chaucer back there. It's all good.
I'm calling to order the Finance Committee meeting for the Park District of Highland Park for Thursday, April 22nd, 2021 at 4:02 p.m. Roxanne, can you please call the roll?
Commissioner Bernstein,
Here.
Vice President Kaplan,
Here.
and President Ruttenberg.
I am here.
We have a quorum, and I would like to welcome our Commissioner-elect, Jennifer Freeman, to her first Finance Committee meeting. Generally, they're much more comprehensive and longer than this one, but welcome aboard. I hope once you get on the board that you join the committee, and we'd love to have you. So we meet twice a month, so welcome.
Thanks for having me.
Okay, so next item on the agenda is anyone wishing to speak. Public comments for items on the agenda. So anyone wishing to speak will need to use the raise hand function in Zoom to indicate they would like to speak. The board secretary will call on registrants who have activated the raise hand feature in alphabetical order. Executive Director Rones, is there anyone from the public attending this meeting who wishes to speak and provide public comments?
There are no attendees, and I don't see Jen Freeman's hand up, so I think no.
And so, Jen, just feel free during the meeting if you want to talk, or you want to make any comments regarding any items on the agenda. We'll treat you as one of us, and you will be in a couple of weeks. So, welcome. All right, next item on the agenda is the financial forecast and treasurer's report. Director Peters to present.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. I trust that you are seeing our 2021 financial forecast and treasurer's report opening slide. And we'll go right into our projected cash flows from operations. And so as we discuss every month, we keep a 25% fund balance on hand per board policy. So we have about $4.1 million we want to keep in our operating cash. We budgeted to have about $12 million of cash on hand at year end. Based on our financial results through March 31st for the first quarter, which we'll go over in a few minutes, we are doing really well. Also in the April budget number, as you have seen in the Friday memos, we received roughly $200,000 of extra property taxes in the operating fund. So that has already been put in our cash flows for April. But when we look out to where we are projecting our cash to be at year end based on the first quarter that we've had. And then, like I said, a few adjustments that we're looking to have over $13.5 million of cash on hand at year end. So we look really good right now. And to look at that more closely, we'll look at how operations are looking overall. If we go up and look at things after the first quarter, we can see that our actual expenses are significantly less than the budgeted expenses. A good chunk of that is payroll. Also, remember, we did have some mitigating closures and reduced not programs, but just reduced functions going on in January. We also, as far as revenue, are a little bit above what we had originally budgeted for. So at the end of the day, we are showing over an $800,000 surplus over where we had originally budgeted ourselves to be at the end of the first quarter. And also really interesting, if we compare ourselves to the 3-year average from 2017, 18, and 19 of where we were at the end of the first quarter, we're just off the average of those 3 years by about $76,000. So we are looking really well. So
is that for me, Mary Lynn? Is that for me?
Well, You were really upset last month and then you didn't return my email.
Yeah, I'm
It's
sorry, I
like,
got so
oh.
busy. There's a lot going on here. So, but I appreciate you adding that stat there. I thank you.
Sure. Well, especially when it looks this good. It didn't look as good last month, but things have really taken a turn for the better. So we're looking really good. So if we-
Wait, pause.
Oh, sorry.
Pause, before you guys take all the credit.
Yeah.
Cal, take a second, or Marilyn, take a second to explain to Jen why this particular item, the 3-year average, was requested and what it's showing. I think a little explanation might be helpful.
Of course. Okay, so Jen, if we look down here below these charts, you can see all the actual numbers dropped in. And what had been asked of us at a previous meeting was to look at how our revenues were an average of 3 pre-COVID years. So in essence, regular years. So we obviously couldn't use 2020 because that was the year of the COVID. So we went back 2017, 2018, 2019. We took the revenues for those 3 years for the first quarter and averaged them out. So you'll see that they're about $2.3 million. And then we did the same with expenses, averaged them out, and they average about $3 million. And then what we do is we take what the surplus or deficit would have been versus where we're actually sitting in our COVID year. And we compare ourselves. Now, last year we were about last month we were about $500,000 off what that was, but we had such a great March. To me, it's really incredible how well we are doing in a COVID year. Granted, it's a phase 4 versus what I would consider, these 2017 through 2019 being, a phase 5 or back to regular operations. So we really look quite well given, where we are with the pandemic right now versus prior.
And that's not like a monthly bump because of something big like camps, or it's just a year over year?
Yes, and we're going to go into some of the specifics a little bit later, but we've had a few programs that are just doing wonderfully at the end of March. Payroll, we will also have a slide on that or two. We are very much under budget for payroll, and we're really doing well.
And just so you know too, Jen, and we can go over this more, but our revenue shows the month that the programs hit. So even though we've taken a ton of camp registration, that revenue doesn't even show until camp begins, which is going to be in June. So this is like real time of what our programs are right now. So at previous meetings, I had mentioned our spring registration right now is actually higher than it was in 2019. We have a good problem, but still a problem. We actually have a lot of people on the wait list for our spring and even summer programs because of capacity restrictions, but we are doing our best to get as many people into programs as we can.
Marilyn, why don't you finish with this chart unless you're done with it?
I'm pretty much done. The only thing I was going to throw out just for Jen too, I assume you're getting the Friday memo, but in one of them a couple weeks ago, one week we took in $90,000 of property taxes, and the next week we get another $200,000 of property taxes. And originally the auditor said we could book it to last year because we know it belongs in last year. But then when we got the second batch of it, they said, well, no, there's some laws on how many days you have to get that. So they're forcing us to put roughly $300,000 of property taxes into 2021, about $200,000 into these operating funds here. But those are not in here yet either. Those won't hit until April. They were in the cash flows that we opened with, but those revenues won't hit until April. So that is going to give us a jump start in April as well.
Okay, so any questions, comments on this chart, President Ruttenberg?
No, thank you.
Vice President Kaplan?
Yes, I do. Marilyn, is there a specific facet that's led to the uptick this last month?
So what we'll discuss in a couple minutes, so we can discuss it now. Indoor tennis went from a $94,000 surplus last month to a $254,000 surplus at the end of March. Golf is at $110,000 surplus. I don't really recall what it was at the end of March, but I'm not sure that we had or I'm sorry, at the end of February. I don't think we had really even discussed it because they weren't really.
Nobody played golf in February.
Right, yeah. So, so we just got a couple of really, just things are going really well at a couple of the facilities that we did not budget to be doing as well as they are. And then of course too, on the expense side, you also see that big gap there. So you're going to see we have a pretty big gap in payroll, what we had budgeted versus where we are actually. We definitely have quite a few open positions that I know we are working now to fill. But again, too, in January, when we had our COVID mitigation efforts, that really helped save with expenses as well. So.
Anything else, Brian?
No, that's it. Thank you.
Commissioner-elect Freeman?
Oh, good. Got it.
Okay. So can you just, for everyone's sake, can you just explain why in May 2020 you have a big spike in revenue while it seems like expenses remain flat?
So in May we start getting in May we start getting property taxes in. So that's one thing, but the bulk of those will hit in June. And then also on or about June 1st is when we start recognizing our camp revenue as well.
And what are you hearing from the county with regard to property tax receipts? Are they going to stagger them again this year, or are they going to stick to the June and September deadlines?
That's right. As of right now, we have been notified that they are back onto a regular tax collection year. So it won't look like 2020, it will look like 2019. And so hopefully, all of our tax dollars will be coming in on a timely basis, and hopefully we'll fully or near fully collect what our extension that was granted is.
I know tax bills come out the beginning of May, so that's in a couple of weeks. So Brian, just be prepared. Brian Romes, obviously people look at their tax bills and they're going to see what the park district share is, and if there's any, I think we should have a discussion either at a meeting or something with be able to message any potential issues that may come from once the tax bill comes out and people see. I don't think there's, I believe we did increase the, if I recall, the levy. So there may be some questions coming in with regard to year versus year. So just, be sure that we're prepared to respond to any of the community's questions regarding that.
I mean, honestly, remember we actually issued a flat levy, so
yeah,
unless people's EAVs change, they really should not.
Well, if I recall, we cut the special rec levy, right, and then we increased the general levy. So people who actually look at their tax bill may have questions about that.
Okay.
Okay.
Do they see that level of detail, Mary Lynn?
I don't, not.
Yeah, they do. They show year versus year. I think they show each fund. So they'll show the special rec fund. I think it's a separate. Do they show separate there? I don't remember.
Not on the tax bills we were using when we were, computing the effects in the state. They weren't. It just says park district.
But isn't there like a pension line too also? Or is it,
I think there's a pension. Well, I don't know.
For the city. Only for the city. We don't have a pension line.
Yeah.
Okay, so I stand corrected. So we only have one line, so it should remain flat. So it hopefully show on the tax bill that it's flat.
Right.
And the rates.
Right. I mean, the thing to remember is that, we're only 7% of the tax bill. So I don't know that people necessarily, and I'm sure some
people look at their tax bills, trust me.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, they do look at their tax bills. I'm pretty close to it. I do, at least. I mean, but so just be prepared in case there's any questions. Okay. Next slide.
Okay. All right, so then we look at each of our individual funds. So here is our general fund. So again, our expenses are much lower than where we had budgeted them. Revenue is pretty spot on. Next month, we'll definitely see a difference because we got that $200,000 of taxes in. But right now in the general fund at the end of March, it's a $280,000 surplus versus where we had budgeted to be at the end of March. When we look at recreation, again, we can see we have a significant reduction in what we had for budgeted expenses. Again, a large part of that is payroll and due to COVID mitigations back in January. We can also see our revenues are much greater than what we had originally budgeted for. And so that puts at a surplus in this fund over budget of about $500,000. When we look at special rec, we're spot on where we budgeted to be. Same with debt service, we're right on target. And then when we look at the capital fund, same thing, we keep talking about the revenue discrepancy, and we have that OSLAD grant and it's in deferred revenue. As we use a little more of that each month out of the preserve, more and more will come into revenue out of deferred revenue. And then on the expense side here, the lag, this surplus that we're showing, 65,000, is really just from projects maybe have starting a little bit more slowly than anticipated. It also has to do with timing of invoices from the contractors that we deal with. So that's more of a timing difference than anything.
Could we pause for a second, Marilyn?
Okay. President Ruttenberg.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
I think it would be a good idea to take a second to explain the jump in the capital fund in November, December period, just to bring Jen up to the speed as to what that represents.
Okay, definitely. So this jump you see in revenues is represented by the year-end transfer. So at the end of the year, we decide on an amount that we want to transfer into this fund. And so that's what this difference is. And
Transfer
so
from where?
it's a transfer from our rec fund and special rec as well,
Some
depending
special
on how
rec.
much special rec we
Yeah.
do.
Yeah, we don't have a money tree that we transfer funds to.
No, well, we do have a money tree in Brian's office, but it's
There's one in my office.
so the contribution from that should be 0 this year.
Okay, good. Barney, anything else, Barney?
No, I'm just, trying to do my best to welcome Jen and show her the complexities of the Park District.
You're doing a fabulous job.
Yeah.
Vice President Kaplan, I see your face. Okay, anything?
I'm here.
Okay, anything?
Nope, it's all good.
Okay, Commissioner-elect Freeman.
Nothing. All good. Thank you.
Yeah, this is all good, and thank you just again for Jen's your information. We've been doing this really this exercise monthly since COVID hit. We didn't do this before COVID, and we decided that once COVID hit, that we would on a monthly basis try to track all our funds and versus what we're projecting versus actual. And so, Mary Lynn, there's been a lot of work has gone into creating these charts and the information that's in front of you, and it's evolved over the last year what information's there. But I think we've hit the right balance of not trying to overwhelm us poor lay people, we're not financial analysts, and being able to clearly understand where we are with the district, where we're going, and where we've been. And I really appreciate all Mary Lynn's hard work to making this very understandable to us lay people.
Yeah, I think it's important. And I also think it's something that just in general conversation, any average taxpayer tends to, friendly or not, have some opinion on where the money gets spent and where did it go and where did it come from. And I pay these tax dollars to have X happen. And it's nice to see, just individually within a fund and that there's direction there and we're tracking based on income outgo. But then the transferring I really hadn't considered. So sort of how we get capital fund or capital improvements and things like that funded. That's important too. So thank you.
Okay, Mary Lynn, anything else with regard to financial forecasts?
Well, we have payroll next.
Oh, we missed that. I love that.
We just got to look at payroll.
Yeah.
So this is our chart where we look at our cumulative monthly payroll. So we can see in gold here, we are under budget in our payroll for the year to the tune of about $150,000. Again, that is due to COVID mitigation efforts back in January. And then it also has to do with a lot of open positions. And then if we look at this non-cumulatively just for the month of March, we can see that just for March, we were under budget by about $55,000. Okay.
Can I ask a question?
Of course.
Sure.
did we feel that maybe we were a little heavy on staff, and then as COVID happened, obviously pared back, and are those positions going to be backfilled, or are we just going to kind of hang for a bit? What is the thought?
Yeah, so I can answer that. We had 18 positions last year that were either frozen or eliminated. And then budgeting for this year, the board approved 9 positions. If I'm off by 1, I might be off by 1. I think it's either 8 or 9. I think it was 8. The board approved adding back into the budget, so no longer frozen. And that was contingent upon where we were at as of April 1st. So as of April 1st, the board did approve or give consensus for us to move forward with rehiring those positions. And my recommendation was to hire 7 of those 8. And there are still some significant cost savings from that. And again, as Mary Lynn stated, the first quarter is even lower because when we approved the budget, we didn't know we would have had been in that closure, those mitigation efforts in January. So we pushed off some positions a little further.
Super, thank you.
Hey, Marilyn, anything else?
I could give my concluding comments if you'd like, or we can just pass and move on to
wait.
dredging.
Well, let's go around. Anybody have, before the concluding comments? Barney, President Roddenberg?
I'd like to hear the concluding comments.
Okay, fine.
Okay, all right, so let's go to our conclusion. In January of 2021, recall that the Park District programs and facilities were either partially closed or canceled due to COVID mitigation efforts. Since then, the Park District was able to significantly adjust expenses, especially payroll at $148,000 below budget, resulting in an overall surplus of over $800,000 versus budget at the end of the first quarter. Additionally, vaccinations are steadily increasing, positivity rates and hospitalizations are leveling off or decreasing, and we are seeing significant increases in both spring and summer registrations. Furthermore, when comparing 2021 actuals versus the 2017 through 2019 averages, we are only $77,000 off the pre-COVID bottom line for the same comparable time period. So basically the first quarter. We continue to receive unbudgeted financial support, such as over $200,000 of additional property taxes, which will be reflected in the April financials. Finally, for the period ended March 31st, 2021, indoor tennis has a surplus of $254,000 over its original budget, and golf is at over $110,000 over its original budget. So all of this places the Park District in a very favorable financial position. Do we have any further questions?
Barney?
No, I think that's great, but just take a second. Jen, the way we fund the capital projects is from basically operating revenues, which is made up of taxes and fees. And I don't know if you've had a chance to sit down with Brian yet to go through the capital programs that we have in the offing.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, we've got a lot of projects we've got to get to. So the
Yep.
more of a surplus we have, the better it is.
Yeah, exactly. I loved seeing that connection. And I have seen what's on the roadmap, and yeah, there's some work to do.
Anything else, Barney?
No, sir, I'm sorry.
Okay.
I'm just babbling. I'm trying to show off for Jen that I know something.
Yes. All right, Vice President Kaplan.
I'm good, thank you.
Commissioner-elect Freeman.
Nothing from me, thanks.
Mary Lynn, thank you very much, as always, very to the point and focused, and it was a great presentation. I do have one question. I know that Brian Romes, you mentioned that spring registration is doing very well. This is a question for Chris Malazewski. How's our baseball registrations doing?
Baseball is through the roof. We have over 300 players for spring, Cal, which is an all-time high. And that does not include the 80 kids we have playing travel baseball.
That's
So
amazing.
we're
Wow.
near 400 kids. The resident historian, Eric Goldman, has stated he has never seen numbers to this extent. So we're happy to see where we're at.
Have we started house league games yet?
Games, no. Practices have started. Games will start, I believe, in 1 to 2 weeks, but don't exactly quote me on that. But that's my understanding.
So I hopefully sometime this summer when we can, when things kind of loosen up, we can resurrect our baseball advisory committee and we can start meeting again. I'd love to hear,
Yes, yeah.
let's hear some statuses.
There's much work to be done in all things athletics. Baseball certainly is at the top of mind. So we would love to have that reconvene once able.
And hopefully we can get some new blood on that committee too.
I think we'll be able to do so.
Okay.
There's enough interest at this point with some families with younger children who are ready, eager, and willing to help out in any way, shape, or form. So I think we'll be able to accomplish that as well.
You
Great.
got my little double A guy, and my husband pitched lefty at Villanova, so he
Nice.
will coach.
Nice. He's in. Sign him up.
Yeah. Put me in, coach. Okay. Thanks, Chris. Anything else? Oh, treasurer's report?
Well, that was encompassed when we look at each of the funds.
Okay, fine. Okay, so we're done with that agenda item. So any other questions or comments regarding financial forecast and treasurer's report? Hearing none. Next item on the agenda is 2021 Park Avenue dredging bill. Who's Director Smith to present?
All right, thank you very much. So we recently received back our bid results for the Park Avenue dredging, and just a little background on this. So for Park Avenue, in order to properly operate the boat launch, typically we need to dredge out sands in the boat launch area on an annual basis. So there's proper depths for boats. Last year, due to extremely high lake levels, we ended up not needing to dredge. However, this year staff have taken measurements and dredging will be necessary. So I'm going to share my screen here and we'll take a look at the bid results. So we had 4 contractors that we received bids from, and you'll see here on the, I'll very briefly go through this. The base bid item number 1 is the mobilization and demobilization for the contractor. So getting everything set up, getting everything cleaned up. And then base bid item number 2 is based on the amount of sand that they remove. So what you can't see here is they actually provide us a per unit cost per cubic yard. And then the maximum that we're allowed to remove is 1,800. That's based on the permit. So we're required to have a permit to do this work. And our permit stipulates how much we can take out at a maximum. So then you'll see the total base bid. The low bid came in at $36,000. And the amount that we have budgeted this year for this project is $30,000. So unfortunately, all 4 bids are coming in over budget. Staff have gone back and looked at this a little closer. Based on our measurements, what we know now about lake levels, we're anticipating that the amount of sand that we're going to have to take out is certainly not going to reach our maximum amount that we can take out. We're also looking at the area where we are dredging, and we're proposing to reduce that area a little bit. There's one area where we dredge, but it's not absolutely necessary. So what staff are proposing is to actually rebid this. We would get the bid out immediately. We would have results back in time for the May 6th Finance Committee meeting. If we get consensus at that meeting, we would then bring it for approval at the May 11th board meeting, and then the project would take place May 17th to May 21st. So rebidding would still allow us to stay within our timeline. Are there any questions?
Questions, comments? Vice President Kaplan, anything?
No, that's excellent. Thank you, Jeff.
President Ruttenberg.
Yeah, I don't see, am I missing one or two of the contractors that we've seen in the past from this bid list?
Yeah, it varies. Actually, we did bid it out last year. We just chose not to move forward because of the measurements we had received. But the low bidder from last year did not bid this year.
No, too bad. Okay. We'll meet the timeline if we approve it on the 11th, you said?
Yes.
All right, as long as we have time to do it.
That could be Commissioner-elect Freeman's first vote. So I'm
Could.
excited. Yeah.
And I do have a question.
There you go.
It
So next.
would, but so the wide swing in the bids is based on they had different measurements and they're using obviously different cost per unit, and so we're going to rebid saying we need to remove X amount of sand, so everyone bid the same thing. Or it's just I've never seen anything ranging from $1,800 to $111,000. So I'm just wondering. I can't see a per unit cost. So I was just wondering.
Sure, I can. I'll give a little explanation. I will say one of the bidders, the highest bidder, was high in both mobilization and their cost to remove sand. But typically, what we see is if you look at the first one and the second one, in the first bidder, they basically put all of their costs within the mobilization and demobilization, and their per unit cost for removal of sand was $1 per cubic yard, whereas the second contractor had a cost that probably more accurately reflected their true mobilization demobilization, the 10,000, and then their cost per unit for removing sand was $20 per cubic yard. So that's why you're seeing a significant swing in both of those. And
okay, and
every
then
year
got
when
it.
we do this bid, we kind of get both approaches from contractors.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, I have no questions. Thank you, Director Smith. Anything else on Park Avenue that we need to go over?
That's it for now. Thank you.
Okay, great. Next item on the agenda is other business. Director Peters to present.
Okay, all I have for us is save some dates on your calendar for other business. For May 6th, we'd like to have our next Finance Committee meeting, and then on May 20th, and those are both on Thursdays at 4 p.m. So we just want to make sure that works for everyone.
I'm good. May 6th at 4. Let me put it down.
I cannot do May 5th.
The 6th.
6th?
May 6th.
I'll be done by then.
Okay.
I'm free.
We're good.
Sorry about that.
Hopefully
good.
Jen will join us for these meetings.
Okay. And did everyone get the 20th as well?
Yeah, I'm doing it right now. I'm fine. Okay. Everyone else okay?
Okay.
Great. Got those two down. Let's see. Oh, I just lost my cheat sheet. What's next on the cheat sheet? Oh, there it is. I found it. Okay. Any other business? Is there any business from commissioners that they want to talk about? Arnie?
Nope.
Brian?
Not for me.
Jen? Okay. This is actually, Brian, is this a record for the Finance Committee meeting, or is it, what is it?
I think it is. I'll have to check the official record book, but 34 minutes is pretty quick.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
Yeah, you guys sucked me in with that one. So yeah, all right.
There's a motion by Vice President Kaplan, a second by President Rutherford. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
The ayes have it.